Carrier tells homeowners to use distilled vinegar in a condensate drain. That instruction is public on the company's website, so the viral secret is already wrong. But Carrier gives vinegar one narrow job at an access point. For a clog, it points to a wet or dry vacuum. For a coil, it recommends another cleaning method. We tested 7 claims against Carrier, Trane, CDC, Poison Control, and NIOSH guidance. Each check has 2 sides, the supported lane and the crossed boundary. Together, they show exactly where the manufacturer's permission stops. Carrier's page is written for homeowners. It describes turning the system off, locating the drain line access point, and using distilled vinegar as one option for buildup. Carrier's broader guide to cleaning an air conditioner also mentions a vinegar and warm water approach for the condensate drain. That matters because the strongest version of the online story is not supported. The useful information is public. You do not need an anonymous technician confession to establish it. You also should not convert one manufacturer's general maintenance article into approval for every model. Drain layouts differ. Some systems have a clearly identified access opening. Others have a capped fitting that may serve another purpose, a trap arrangement that requires a specific procedure, or no homeowner serviceable point described in the manual. The equipment instructions still decide what you can open and where a maintenance liquid belongs. Use a manufacturer-published drain procedure only for the equipment it covers. Search the exact model manual and the manufacturer's maintenance page before copying a tutorial. If neither identifies an owner, maintenance opening, or an approved procedure, do not guess. The next claim tests whether that permission moves with the water to every nearby component. An air conditioning system can contain condensate on the evaporator coil, in the drain pan, through a trap, and along the drain line. Each component keeps its own maintenance procedure. Carrier's support for distilled vinegar is tied to the drain line access point. That sentence does not authorize pouring it across the evaporator coil, spraying it into the return duct, filling the drain pan, treating a humidifier, or introducing it through any opening that happens to be nearby. Location changes the materials the liquid contacts. It also changes what can be damaged, what can be flushed away, and whether the homeowner can observe the result. A condensate line is intended to carry water out of the house. A coil is a heat transfer surface with fins, joints, and sometimes manufacturer-applied treatments. A float switch is a control device. The fact that all 3 may be near the same pan does not give them one cleaning procedure. Keep the instruction attached to the identified drain access. Do not move it onto a coil, pan, duct, humidifier, or unidentified opening. If you cannot trace the drain from the pan to the exit and identify the manufacturer's intended access point, stop at diagnosis. Even at the correct access point, the condition inside the pipe decides whether a liquid can do the job. This claim confuses prevention with repair. A thin biological film or early buildup can develop inside a flowing line. Once sludge, debris, or a solid obstruction stops the flow, the pipe has a physical blockage. Approved maintenance can address buildup in an open path. A physical plug requires removal. Carrier separates those jobs on the same drain line page. For a clog, it describes suction from a wet or dry vacuum at the outdoor exit. It reserves distilled vinegar as an option applied through the access point. Persistent clogs go to a professional. Trane draws a similar line. Its clogged condensate guidance describes technicians using a vacuum, wet or dry vacuum, hose or snake to remove the obstruction, followed by drain line cleaner and water. The important word is remove. A physical plug requires a clearing method that physically restores the path. That order matters. The vacuum, hose, or snake addresses the obstruction first. Cleaner and water follow after the path has been physically cleared. A tutorial that begins and ends with pouring skips the part both manufacturers use for an actual blockage. This gives you the main diagnostic split for the video. Once backup, overflow, or repeated shutdown appears, follow the clog procedure. Carrier and Trane both describe physical clearing methods for that condition. Reserve vinegar for approved preventive maintenance in a freely draining line, and a backed up drain can trigger a symptom that looks much more expensive than a clogged pipe. The 4th claim begins with a house that suddenly stops cooling. The thermostat is on. The indoor unit is quiet, and because the failure appeared without warning, the homeowner assumes the most expensive component has failed. The small switch beside the drain pan may be doing exactly what it was installed to do. Carrier explains that a safety float switch can shut the air conditioner down when a clogged drain causes water to rise in the pan. The switch is there to reduce the chance that condensate spills into a ceiling, wall, floor, or equipment cabinet. That protective shutdown can remove cooling until drainage is restored. Electrical faults, thermostat problems, failed motors, refrigerant issues, and other conditions can also stop cooling. Visible water around the air handler, a full auxiliary pan, or a raised float switch gives you a reason to check drainage first. Do not hold the float down, bypass it, or repeatedly restart the system to force cooling. That removes the protection while leaving the drainage problem in place. Shut the equipment down as directed by the manufacturer. Look for the documented drain exit and signs of backup that can be observed safely, and escalate when the obstruction is not accessible under the owner instructions. A raised float indicates that water has already backed up. Investigate why it could not leave before considering any preventive treatment. The float can lower after the pan empties, and that creates a second question about why the water collected there. Treat the float switch position and visible water as diagnostic information. Check the backed up drain before accepting a major equipment diagnosis, and restore drainage before returning the system to normal operation. The switch does not clear the pipe or identify the obstruction. Removing water from the pan may lower the float, but that alone does not show why the water accumulated. If the pan fills again or the system shuts down again, stop restarting it. Recurring water requires a drain diagnosis. Once the line and switch are separated, the next boundary sits only one component away on the evaporator coil. This is the boundary the Carrier documents make unusually clear. The company's general cleaning guide places the vinegar method in the condensate drain. Its coil cleaner guide recommends a purpose-made, non-corrosive coil cleaner applied by a professional, and warns that an improper water-to-vinegar ratio can be acidic around expensive equipment. Carrier's separate instructions make the component part of the procedure. Evaporator coils use thin metal fins to transfer heat into refrigerant tubing. Bending fins, leaving residue, wetting controls, using an incompatible cleaner, or failing to rinse a product that requires rinsing can reduce performance or create damage. Access may also require opening panels around electrical components and refrigerant equipment. No universal household recipe can account for every coil material, coating, cleaner instruction, and air handler layout. More vinegar does not turn drain guidance into coil guidance. Diluting it by an improvised ratio does not create manufacturer approval. A dirty coil requires the exact equipment and cleaner instructions or service by a qualified technician. Keep the separate drain procedure attached to the drain. Ask the technician to name the exact coil product and show the current instruction for it. Confirm whether that instruction requires rinsing, protective steps, or professional access. A household ratio cannot answer those model-specific questions. The last step in a valid drain procedure is also the step a pouring video rarely shows: checking what happened farther down the line. A maintenance ritual is easy to film because the action fits in one shot. Open a cap, pour a liquid, replace the cap. Success still requires observed flow at the correct outlet. If you want familiar home maintenance claims checked against the equipment documents before they become repairs, subscribe. That is what Green Exposed tests. Carrier's evaporator coil guidance says foreign matter should be removed from the pan and drain, then the drain flushed with clear water. It also distinguishes a restricted line from loose material in the pan. That sequence makes the success condition measurable. The obstruction or debris is gone, the path is open, and water reaches the intended discharge point. Finish the approved procedure by confirming flow at the documented outlet. A condensate system can have a trap, a slope problem, a disconnected fitting, or an outlet that terminates where the homeowner cannot easily see it. Adding liquid without understanding the path could put more water upstream while telling you nothing about the condition farther downstream. Do not create a universal dosage or calendar from a general web page. Carrier's current consumer pages do not use identical wording for amount and preparation, and your exact model may give different instructions or none at all. Frequency also depends on the equipment, climate, drain design, and service plan. Trace the documented route before deciding which exterior pipe to watch. If that route disappears behind finished walls, the outlet cannot be identified, the pan still holds water, or the float remains raised, the job is incomplete. A repeat backup also needs diagnosis because vinegar cannot correct bad slope, a disconnected fitting, or another defect in the drain assembly. Carrier's clear water language gives you a practical final check where the applicable instructions allow a flush. Watch for water at the correct discharge point. Once flow is confirmed, the maintenance step has a measurable result. There is one condition that can make even the correct location unsafe. You may have no idea what cleaner is already sitting in the trap. The final claim is the one that turns a minor maintenance experiment into a chemical exposure. Compatibility depends on the cleaner already inside the drain line, even when the new bottle is familiar, inexpensive, and used around food. Verdict: dangerous and false. The CDC says never mix household bleach or disinfectants with other cleaners. Its chlorine guidance explains that bleach can release chlorine gas when combined with certain cleaning products. The National Capital Poison Center identifies vinegar mixed with bleach as a chlorine gas hazard. That warning matters in HVAC maintenance because you may not know what a previous homeowner, maintenance company, or technician placed in the line. A bottle label that says natural does not identify the residue already in the trap. Contact between incompatible chemicals creates the safety problem, including contact in a section of pipe you cannot see. Pouring water between two products and waiting an arbitrary number of minutes does not prove that a trap, low spot, or blockage is free of the first chemical. A video cannot certify the chemistry inside your drain from a timestamp. Bleach is only the first chemistry problem because peroxide creates a separate compatibility question. Vinegar and hydrogen peroxide should not become a second improvised combination. NIOSH's technical material on peracetic acid describes products containing acetic acid and hydrogen peroxide as strong irritants. Do not combine the two in the same line, and do not rely on an invented waiting period as proof that an improvised sequence is safe. If the previous chemical is unknown, stop adding products. Ventilate and leave the area if you encounter a strong unexpected odor or irritation, and contact poison control or the appropriate professional for the actual exposure. Do not lean over the opening to identify a gas by smell. If bleach or peroxide has already been used, do not add vinegar. Record what went into the line, keep other products out, and give that information to the person handling the drain or the exposure. Use one documented product in one documented procedure. Unknown residue ends the homeowner chemical step and moves the issue to the appropriate professional. Put the 7 2-column cards together and 3 jobs emerge. Preventive drain maintenance begins with a line that is already flowing, the manufacturer-designated service opening, and instructions for that equipment. This is where Carrier publicly supports distilled vinegar as an option. Physical clog removal begins with backup, standing water, a float switch shutdown, or failed flow. Carrier and Trane point towards suction or mechanical clearing with professional service when the clog persists or the path is not safely accessible. Coil cleaning begins with the coil instructions. Carrier directs readers toward purpose-made, non-corrosive coil cleaning under professional care. Before any liquid goes into your HVAC system, answer 4 questions. What exact component am I touching? Is the line currently flowing? Does the manufacturer name this method for this location? And do I know what chemical, if any, is already present? If any answer is missing, stop at inspection. When all 4 are documented, follow the applicable procedure and verify the result at the drain outlet. That protocol also tells you when the bottle is irrelevant. Standing water points toward clog removal. A tripped float points toward a drainage diagnosis. Dirt on a coil points toward the coil procedure. Unknown residue stops the chemical experiment. Carrier's supported HVAC use is preventive condensate-drain maintenance at the proper access point under the applicable equipment instructions. Use the separate procedures named for clogs, coils, and chemical exposure.